Donald Trump is an American hero.
Mr. Reagan.
Donald Trump just won the election. It's over. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is a day for celebration. For our once and future president, Donald Trump just cheated death. He just dodged a bullet, literally. Donald Trump was shot by an assassin, and he lived to tell about it. Mark my words, this image will become iconic. It will go down in history, standing alongside the image of Martin Luther King's entourage pointing to the shooter, alongside the Times Square kiss, the flag at Iwo Jima. They say that in a moment of crisis, you learn the true character of a man. Well, yesterday, in that moment, Donald Trump stood triumphant. As the Secret Service rushed to usher him off the stage, he stopped them and he told them to wait.
Wait.
Because he needed to show America that he had not fallen, that he still stood strong, and that we all must stand and fight. And I don't even think he knew that blood streamed across his face as he raised his fist in the air, defiant. But in that moment, no Trump supporter could have been more proud. We all felt the same thing. That is our president. It is an honor to stand with this man. I put this image on mugs and t-shirts, of course, but not really to make money. I felt this compulsion to commemorate this day because this is a day for celebration. Now, I believe that Trump was going to win the election even before yesterday, but now this election is all but over. Now, there are reasons to mourn today, certainly. One man, a man in the crowd, a Trump supporter, a patriot, lost his life. I consider this man a hero. I consider him a martyr. And I look forward to learning his name so that we can celebrate the life of this man. And for him, we do mourn. It is also a day to mourn the state of America today, to mourn the state of the Democrat Party and the mainstream news media who have so viciously lied about Trump and spread so much sinister propaganda that it drove a man to this extreme act. And we must mourn the absolutely catastrophic failure of the Secret Service. But I do think that it's important to stay positive because we knew this was going to happen. We all knew that at some point the propaganda was going to have its intended effect and someone was going to attempt to take the life of Donald Trump. In fact, this was not the first time. It was just the first time someone came this close. And we are so lucky that this guy, this shooter, did come this close. Because had the shooter not drawn blood, we would not have those visceral images broadcast around the world. And had the shooter been any closer, well then Donald Trump, and perhaps America with him, would be gone forever. So again, today we thank God for our blessings, and we celebrate. And we will get into all the details of the day in one moment. First, of course, I have to sell you something. Today's video is sponsored by Panther Minerals Incorporated, ticker symbols on the screen, and I am delighted to introduce their Boulder Creek project. The project comes with a historic resource estimate showing that it contains the largest uranium deposit in Alaska. If Panther successfully develops this advanced exploration stage property, it has the potential to become a crucial domestic source of uranium for the ongoing energy transition. Based on historical drilling and exploration, there are strong indications of possibly substantial uranium deposits at Boulder Creek. Uranium is crucial because it's a key component for nuclear energy, and America's appetite for clean, reliable energy is frankly staggering. The demand for raw uranium is exploding due to its use in generating nuclear power. Both Elon Musk and Warren Buffett have shown their views on the importance of nuclear power. Musk tweeted that limiting the use of this energy source is insane from a national security standpoint and bad for the environment to shut them down. Meanwhile, Berkshire Hathaway has long invested in nuclear. When the world's richest people sound an alarm about our collective financial future, we should probably listen. The US government has shown support for ensuring America's mineral independence. The concept of onshoring, or bringing supply chains back into the United States, is a common theme across the political spectrum in election campaigns. Even the Department of Energy has announced the Next Steps program to build domestic uranium supply for advanced nuclear reactors as part of the Investing in America agenda. There are even rumors that uranium could be added to the U.S. Critical Minerals Act. Currently, the United States is the world's largest producer of nuclear power, but it imports over 90% of its annual uranium requirement. relying heavily on Russia and Uzbekistan for nearly 50% of that supply. America's fight to revive domestic uranium production has begun, supported by a recent ban on Russian uranium imports. This supply shortfall is likely to be addressed through increased exploration and developments of uranium deposits within the United States, with Alaska being a prime target. It's crucial for America to establish a stable domestic supply of uranium to both meet demand and not become even more dependent on Russia, Kazakhstan, and other pro-Russian countries. The fact is that the US is so dependent on Kazakhstan and Russia for uranium that some would call it a national security threat. This kind of dependency can only be bad news for American self-reliance and future prosperity. What happens if the US gets embroiled in further conflict with Russia over Ukraine and Kazakhstan bans imports? The United States is crying out for its own domestic uranium supply source. And that is what makes Panther Minerals, as an exploration-based company, increasingly attractive. It's going to take some time, but with more drilling at the Panther Minerals Boulder Creek projects, there could be potential for a nice multi-million-pound uranium asset. Historical estimates already show it as Alaska's largest known uranium deposit. When looking at comparable companies like Uranium Energy Corp trading at over $7, Encore Energy at over $6, and with uranium up over 60% in the last year, Panther Minerals is potentially a great value proposition, trading at just over 40 cents. With the West facing an unprecedented clamor for domestic uranium, Panther Minerals is primed to potentially be the next American success story. That's why I urge you to check out Panther Minerals using the link below.
My 66-year-old black grandmother, who has never voted for a Republican president in her entire life, just told me she's voting for Donald Trump in November. Today was the tipping point for her. She said, and I quote, "The Democrats have lost their damn minds." And she's absolutely correct. She's absolutely right. Guys, they tried to kill that man today, but inadvertently what they do not realize is they only made him stronger.
This man's grandmother is not the only American who flipped their vote to Trump today. A shockwave has just electrified this nation, waking up those who had closed their eyes to the reality that the Democrat Party has, since 2016, gone way too far. And maybe not everyone who wakes up today will end up voting for Trump, but a significant number of Democrats will, I believe, refuse to vote for Joe Biden. Because this shooting, this attempted assassination of Donald Trump, this was not simply the act of a crazed lone gunman. Certainly that is what the left-wing media, the White House, the Democrats in D.C. will claim. But make no mistake, this man was radicalized by the inflammatory rhetoric of the left. The gunman has been identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, and there is some confusion right now about this guy because there is a troll online who looks a bit like Crooks who's been posting pictures of himself pretending to be the shooter. But according to everything that I could find, the shooter is Thomas Matthew Crooks. But whatever the shooter's name, I think that it is now clear that the mainstream news media has been radicalizing leftists, and they've been doing this non-stop for the past 8 years. I think the Babylon Bee put it best. They wrote, "The party that called Trump Hitler for 8 years, shocked as somebody tries to assassinate him." The left has been brainwashing Democrat voters for years.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
A man slowed down by a cold versus a man with a cold, vile, and merciless heart.
It is just unquestionable at this point that that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
They claim that we conservatives, we Trump supporters, we so-called MAGA extremists, that we are the dangerous ones. We're the violent ones. And yet somehow it's their rhetoric that has truly incited violence. And you know what? Today is also a great day because I believe it will be a turning point in the way journalists talk about conservatives and rogue politicians like Donald Trump who come in from the outside, those not approved by the establishment. The truth is that this shooting is the fault of the mainstream media. The news media created this monster, and they should all be engaging in some serious self-reflection. And I think many of them will, not all, but enough. Sure, some of them will try to reconcile what happened. They'll spin the story, not just for the American people, but for their own peace of mind. They'll brainwash themselves by telling themselves that this guy was just crazy, or they'll cling on to the report that he's a registered Republican in spite of the fact that he's clearly been influenced by the leftist propaganda about Trump. Or even worse, they'll claim that because of Trump's dangerous rhetoric, well, that Trump somehow radicalized this guy himself. Now, I don't think a lot of people in the media are going to say this, but there will be some. And it's not just inflammatory rhetoric that allowed a bullet to graze the ear of the once and future president. It was also an absolute disaster by the Secret Service. Furthermore, it was reported yesterday by Congressman Michael Waltz that Trump's team actually requested additional Secret Service protection several times, and it has been denied by the degenerate Alejandro Mayorkas. Secretary Mayorkas, in my opinion, belongs in prison. Now, I have read that since the shooting, Trump will be assigned additional Secret Service protection, but I can't confirm that. It's just something I saw on X. But I can't imagine, after what happened, that this would not be true. But it is a little late. But a lot of people are criticizing Trump's Secret Service detail on the day. Sebastian Gorka posted a tweet that I think assessed the situation perfectly. He wrote, "Tactical and strategic analysis of what we saw tonight. 2 plainclothes Secret Service agents covered President Trump's body within 3 seconds. Good. The uniformed counter-assault team members with ARs were slow to respond. Bad. Additional plainclothes agents rushed to the first 2, and they all failed to keep President Trump hunched down and cover line of sight to his head with their bodies as they moved to his armored vehicle. Fail. Video of Secret Service counter-sniper on the roof looks like he hesitated to engage shooter. Fail. Shooter apparently accessed empty roof within 200 yards of the stage completely unimpeded. Catastrophic." And that last bit, that is the bit I cannot understand. A shooter got up on the roof that was, I think it was like 150 meters away from President Trump. How the hell did the Secret Service not have that roof covered? I looked up the typical distance that the average deer hunter is comfortable shooting for a kill. It is between 100 and 300 yards. You don't even need to be a sniper to shoot at this distance, just an average hunter. And this, of course, has led a lot of people to speculate that this shooter was allowed to get up there and to take the shot. Now, I'm not going to jump onto that kind of speculation just yet, but it does seem like such an egregious error that incompetence just doesn't seem to explain it. A buddy of mine texted me just this morning and he wrote, "Dude, that was just a botched deep state assassination attempt, right? They had the fix in with the Secret Service. They had their patsy and they failed due to a fluke of last minute luck. Am I crazy?" And my response, it's certainly possible, but I'm not convinced. Why? Because why do it so publicly? If someone is tasked with taking out a public figure like Donald Trump, why not just inject him with a poison that causes symptoms that mimic a heart attack, something like that? There are easier ways to kill a man, I think. A public assassination would only be useful to send a message, but I don't see how that would have been necessary here, nor is there any indication of anything like that. So look, I'm not ready to jump into too much sinister speculation, although I certainly do sometimes entertain such thoughts when I think they're accurate, of course. But I'm not quite there yet with this one. In this case, I'm taking a sort of a wait-and-see approach. Now, there will be an investigation, inevitably, into the Secret Service's botched effort yesterday, but I don't think this is something we can trust the FBI with. This is a point that was made by my friend Sebastian Gorka, and so I texted him who should conduct this investigation. These were his suggestions. He wrote, the U.S. Marshals, Homeland Security Investigations, and the U.S. Department of Defense, including NCIS, military police, and whatever other resources they might need. I thought that was very instructive and worth sharing with you guys. Now, another problem with the Secret Service that conservatives on X have jumped on is the new DEI initiatives. There is a woman now in charge of the Secret Service, which I know maybe you're okay with that because you suspect that she's probably qualified, right? Well, it turns out that this woman was formerly the head of security at Pepsi. Elon Musk noted that before she was guarding heads of state, she was in charge of guarding bags of Cheetos. Now, this woman has made a point of insisting that the Secret Service hire more women.
But I'm very conscious as I sit in this chair now of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to make Donald Trump, at over 6 feet tall, much more secure. Now, in some ways, this was a very sad day for America. It's sad that we have fallen this far. But as I said at the top of the show, it turned out to be a day for celebration. The left has been exposed once again for another egregious lie. It's not the MAGA extremists that are the dangerous ones. It's the radical left. And at the end of the day, our president, President Donald Trump, lives. And he came out of this stronger than ever. And in the end, yesterday, I believe, was the day that Donald Trump won this election. And I suspect that it's also the day that we have turned this country around. Now, I think it's only appropriate that we end this video with Trump's own message that he posted on Truth Social just after the shooting. It was a beautiful message. He wrote, "Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday, as it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness. Our love goes out to the other victims and their families. We pray for the recovery of those who were wounded and hold in our hearts the memories of the citizen who was so horribly killed. In this moment, it is more important than ever that we stand united to show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. I truly love our country, and I love you all, and look forward to speaking to our great nation this week from Wisconsin. Donald J. Trump." Well, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. And remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that, well, they're becoming less and less ignorant every day. The leftist lies are exposed now, aren't they? Good night.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.